nodes, name nodes, everything is going to be there. All the yearns, Hive. That's what you meant?
Yes, exactly. So
Okay.
you as a beginner level admin won't be given the responsibility to create the clusters. Although if you are applying with a higher experience, in that case maybe you would be given. So as part of an admin and the architect, he has the responsibility of creating clusters, designing them, defining how many nodes are required. So all these questions can be asked if you are applying for higher architectural kind of role. But as an admin, you will have the clusters already available, already running, and you will just have to understand how you manage those services, those hosts, those roles. So whatever we did starting off from the first class, my emphasis was that you create a cluster, because once you are will create it, you will get into things which you must understand while you are doing the administrating part. It might not be a case that you would be given a project like this, but to understand all the intricacies of every service and everything related to Hadoop and clusters, it's a must that you create a cluster. Okay, so if you ask me, okay, what is a project in Hadoop? So this is completely like 100% project wherein you create clusters, you manage services, and if you want to go into full stack roles, so if you understand what is full stack, it means the one who is not only administrating but also developing. So
Mm-hmm.
in that case, you will have to work upon the Hadoop development part. So once you have data also ingested these clusters, how will you analyze those data? So these are like various steps that you can take ahead. But yes,
Okay.
this is like a sure start where you can pull yourself even higher. But that all depends on you. Okay, so how you want to, if you want to get into development roles, that's path is also open. If you want to stay into it, you should at least understand all these theoretical part along with whatever you have done while creating the clusters. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And the questions you are like you gave us, which is absolutely from your lecture sheets, which I can find out easily. But my question is that can you like deliver these questions to us so that we can, because I think in interview session they might ask us these questions, like
Yeah,
these sort of questions.
this was a test I took. It was a kind of a surprise test for all of you. Okay. I did not expected all of you to perform pretty well in this because I know you guys are still studying. But it's like a wake up call for everyone. For the ones who are not studying, I could see only four people gave the test. Okay. How many people do we have in this batch?
I think we don't have a lot of people there though.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, because
So,
it
but
started with 11 people, but now it's mostly like 4 5. So,
okay, okay, okay. I didn't know that. Okay, but I
yeah.
could see only 58% questions you all guys got correct out of 39. And this is just, I even short, I made this test little short because we did not discuss a few topics yet. So,
Mm.
but yes, this was a wake up call so that you could see yourself. And all these questions for me, like for a normal admin, these are very easy questions. These questions should be on your tips. Okay.
Mm.
So yeah, I could see these the questions you all find difficult. Uh, 13 questions, out of which one is a test question, dummy question. Okay, so Linux
Mhm.
command. So I wanted to discuss these questions first before we go ahead with the HBase. Okay. Okay. So Linux command to list all files. What do you think? Let me open the notepad also. How do you list all kind of files, whether they are hidden, whether they are not hidden? What is an extra option along that you must give? ls-a. So A is for listing all files. Whether I have given anything else along with that, that wouldn't matter. But yes, -A option should be there whenever you want to list all kind of files which are hidden. Normal files can be like this. Hidden files are like this. If you don't give an option -a, you won't be listed. It won't list the hidden files.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which Linux command is used to fetch disk usage? I'm not sure if I discussed this, but you guys could have Googled that. Okay, but just to discuss it for now, if whenever you want to see the disk usage or how many space is utilized by a particular file, the command would be du. Du stands for disk usage over here. Okay, and I could have given different kind of options along with that. I don't know what options were available in that question, but you must be focusing on looking for this command du. Okay, which Linux command can be used to print the total RAM? If you I think this I discussed when we were starting off with Linux. To check the RAM, how much RAM is there, you can use command free. And if you want to give it in a human readable format, -h. Also,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to check the total CPUs of a server, the command is lscpu. Okay, so these are all Linux level command, but yes, you must know, because if an issue comes up, let's say there is an issue on a particular server and you are not able to run certain jobs on that server, and you figured out that CPUs are causing issues. So how will you check what is the number of CPUs are there and all these stuff? So you must know these commands. Okay, let's say there's an issue where a file is consuming a lot of space. So how will you first of all check what is the space of that file utilized by that file? So you can use the du command. I will show you some troubleshooting examples also at the end of the course. Okay, RAM. Okay, used to fetch the process ID. So let's say there is a process which is running for a long time and you want to kill it. So how will you first fetch the process ID? So the command is ps. PS will give you all the processes which are running. -ef you can use as an extra option. There are other options you can explore, but this command you can use. Let's say I want to check the process run by service HDFS. So I will grep it, because ps-ef will give me all the processes which are running in a server. But if I am only interested in a process which has HDFS in it, so I will grep over it. It will give me a process ID which I can use further to kill. I can use this command kill -9, whatever process ID that comes up in by this command. So these are all project level. These are all your administration tasks which you get
Mm-hmm.
on day-to-day basis. So all these commands are practical based. If you don't know these, you may not be able to troubleshoot, let's say, an issue at a certain point of time. So, and I'm going to take more such tests. Some of them can be surprised. This was still not surprised. I gave you like 2-3 days before, and also it was a time based. That's fine, I think. But yes, I will fetch these questions and give it to you. Okay. Okay, let me just give that first. Okay, let's just quickly discuss all of them. Which command tells total CPU utilization? Okay, now lscpu will only give you how many CPUs are there in the cluster. So it's only defining the configuration of the cluster. But if you want to check how many CPUs are utilized, how many CPUs are still available, so you can use top. And top will not only give you, this command will not only give you the CPU utilization, it will also give you the RAM utilization and the process ID, which are like the most resources. Okay, so it's like a stop command. If you want to check CPUs, if you want to check RAM, if you want to check process ID, you can use this command top. So that was the answer for this question. Okay, select the command to fetch the list of open files. If you want, so sometimes what happens is a process is running and it's opening a lot of files. on a server. So if you want to check the total number of such open files, you can use ls of list of open files. And if you want to count it, you can use wc-n, because ls of will only print all the open files on that server. But since I want to know the number of them, you can use wc, which refers to word count. Okay, default replication factor. I think most of you have given right answers for this. Default block size also is right. So this is 3 and this is, I think, 128 MB. Concept of combining FS image and edits to generate a new FS image is called checkpointing. Okay, this question nobody gave answer on. Smallest unit of execution in yarn is called container. Okay, and yarn is capable of running only MapReduce type of applications. No, yarn was designed to not just run MapReduce, but also run different kind of applications apart from MapReduce. So the answer is false. Most of you have given true, I think. Okay, and this is 50%. Fetch yarn logs command. So I think it's yarn logs hyphen application ID followed by the application ID that you want to fetch the logs for. Okay. This question nobody gave answer. This was a troubleshooting question. No issues. I think once we discuss it. How can you compute Hive table statistics in Impala? So that can be show. Uh, I think compute incremental stats. Yes, for this either incremental or compute stats. Those any of those command can be used. Okay. This is also a troubleshooting question, I think. Which of the following log level? Okay, so whenever it is questions of log level, for a troubleshooter, for an admin, we are always looking for, if we want more information, we are looking for debug logs. There are these kind of logs, let me tell you. So you have info level, you have warn, you have trace, you have info, warn, trace, error, then you have debug. This will have just the general informations of a process. Warning will only show you those lines, warning lines of the log. Trace will give you the path, the path the process took in execution. Error logs will give you if there was any error in process. And debug, you can think of, which includes all of these plus more information. So debug will give you additional information about the process. Okay, so all these kind of logging, the most favorable for us when we are troubleshooting, it's a debug log. This is the most favorable logging. Okay, so I think that's all for these questions, and I'll also share you the results that have questions in it also. One second, let me just share.
Sahil. So if we download the app Kahoot, so can we see the questions there and
No,
we
no, no,
can take the
I
test
will share
again?
the report. Don't worry, I will share the
No,
report.
no,
Mhm.
no. I'm just wondering, like, if we can do the test again and again. You know what I mean? So we can retake the test. Can we?
Though I think I'll have to host it again if you want to retake. That is fine. If you want,
Oh,
I will host it again. But
okay.
for now, I think you can just take a look at the questions.
Okay.
I'm going to
Okay.
share
I
that.
got you. Okay.
Okay, today we will start with HBase. Uh, okay, I will share you the results after the class. Yeah. Okay. So before up to last class, I think we discussed about Hive and we discussed how we can define tables in Hive in a SQL manner, right? It was everything was quite similar to how you have in traditional databases or RDBMS, which are SQL like. Okay, but when it comes to HBase, it is considered as a NoSQL database. So what is it does it mean by NoSQL? So it's basically an acronym for not only SQL, and we will have tables in here also, but the way these tables are actually stored, the way these tables are stored in memory locations will be slightly different. Okay, so just let's take an example of the same table. We have an ID, we have employee name, and we have salary. Okay, this is one such table we are trying to store in our database. Okay, and so on. May have multiple rows. Okay, similarly, it may have thousands of rows in it. Okay, now when it comes to storing this table in Hive, we can simply create a table and we can store these we can upload the data into that table. But what happens in the actual memory locations? How we are actually accessing, basically how we are going to. So let's say when I'm trying to find, there can be millions of such rows. Okay, let's say I'm trying to find a row which is at position 4000. Okay, I want to run this query. Let's say select all the data associated with, select star from, this is my employee table. Okay, this is my actually employee table. Select star from employee where ID equals to 4000. Let's say I want to run this query. So what happens in Hive? What happens if I store this table into a Hive or a SQL? Okay, Hive basically I'm referring to a SQL kind of format. It will traverse one by one until an ID 4000 is reached. Okay, so when I run this execution, it will run a job at the backend, which will go one by one to each ID, compare the ID equals to 4000. So let's say it will come here, it will check, okay, 1 is not equal to 4000. Then it will go to the second row, it will check 2 is not equal to 4000. Then it will check 3 is not equal to 4000, and similar, and so on. Now, why is this? It cannot directly come to the location where the row 4000 is being stored. Okay, let's say this is some row which is in some data. So why it couldn't come directly to this location instead of going one by one on each row, comparing it, and then returning the result? Okay, this is going to be very much time consuming until ID 4000 is reached. This process is time consuming and effort, and takes much effort. Effort in how much? How in terms of efforts? Because it is going one by one, and definitely if it's taking much effort, it will take more resources, utilize more execution power or resources. Okay, so the reason that it's going like this is because when you actually see at the memory locations how it's classifying the data is, let's say these are all my memory locations. These are all continuous memory locations where the data is stored. Okay, so when it comes to storing this table into a Hive or SQL format of storing data, so ID 1 will sit at this location. Let's say these are all, this is my memory location M1, this is my memory location M2, M3, M4, and so on, M5, and so on. Okay, so Hive is storing it in this format. It's a row. We call it row based or row oriented. Okay, so this is a row oriented format. Any SQL table data is stored in a row for oriented. What does it mean by row oriented? So first the complete row will be stored, then the next row will be stored, then the next row will be stored, and so on. So how is this these tables will be stored in the first memory location. The first column value is stored. In the next memory location, the first row's next column value will be stored. Then the next row, the next column of the same row, and so on. When the row is completely stored, it will reach out to the next row. So now the 2 will be stored here. Then this value will be stored. Then this value will be stored. Okay, so in continuous memory locations, we are actually storing row by row. Once the complete row is stored, then the next row, then the next row, and so on. Okay, this thing is going to be time consuming, because when I want to retrieve, let's say, at a value at 4000, I will have to traverse through all of these memory locations, and some of them are not even of my interest. I will be traveling through all of them. I will be comparing the ID column with 4000 until I reach the memory location where this 4000 ID row will be sitting, and then it will be reverted back from this query, whatever are the results. Yes, it's recording. We are recording it. Okay. So when we store it in a SQL format, this is going to be a row based, and that's why it's taking a lot of time, a lot of efforts in terms of fetching the results. And when it comes to a lot of efforts, definitely it's using a lot of resources as well. But this picture can be changed if we want to use something called as a NoSQL. Okay. So NoSQL databases can store rows in a column. So we are only focusing on HBase over here. There are other kind of databases which are also NoSQL, like I think GraphDB, and there are like MongoDB. Then you have Cassandra. All of these are also different kind of NoSQL databases. But when it comes to Hadoop, mostly we use HBase because it comes inbuilt of the Hadoop stack. Okay, so NoSQL database can store rows in column oriented manner, okay, and thus it's quick to find data randomly. Okay, it's quick. If you want to do a quick random query, we can easily fetch the results and quickly fetch the results without traversing the whole data set in the memory location. So how does it make it possible? Because now everything is stored in a column oriented manner. Okay, so let's say now I again create this table, employee table in HBase. I will give you the commands, what all commands are used when it comes to creating a table in HBase. Okay, but for understanding right now, let's say, okay, now we have created another employee table, this time in HBase. Okay, we created this table in HBase. Now it's going to store okay, so now it will store data in a column oriented manner. So what does that mean? Again, let's say these are my continuous memory locations. Okay, this is my memory location M1, M2, M6, and so on. Now, HBase is going to store in a column manner. That means all the values that you have in this column, this will be stored in continuous memory location. When all of these value gets exhausted, okay, when all of these values get exhausted, then only it will go to the next column. So first it will store all this information in this column. Once this column gets exhausted, then the next column will be taken. Okay, then this column will be stored, and at last the last column will be stored in a continuous memory location. So for this particular example, if I talk, let's say there is another memory location uh, which is M4000 over here. Okay, so how it will store? So ID first, this column will be taken into consideration. So value 1 will come here, then value 2, value 3 in the next memory location, value 4, 5, and so on. Let's say if this was my memory location 4000, here I have the ID value 4000. Okay. Similarly, at the end there will be some location which is M1 million, and in that location you will store the last column. Sorry, the last value of the ID column. Once this is exhausted, now it will reach out to the next column whose value is Sahil, then Sam, and so on. Okay, so column by column, it will store information in column by column instead of row by row, how it was doing earlier. In this file, it was storing like this in SQL, but when it comes to HBase, it will be storing like this in continuous manner. Okay, so that's how I can randomly go. Let's say I want to get information about 4000. I don't need to go it through these values now. I will directly reach out at location M4000 and fetch the results corresponding to. Okay, so HBase or any NoSQL, not only SQL databases, they gives you the liberty to randomly access data or random queries. HBase is mostly used. So many times people may ask you, what is the difference between HBase and Hive? So HBase is a NoSQL database. Hive is a SQL-based database. Although both are using the HDFS layer at the backend. But if you want to query data randomly and quickly, HBase is preferred over Hive. Okay. We will discuss architecture probably on Sunday. Today, I will be giving you how exactly, how things are. So just like how we have databases in NoSQL database, let me just draw a comparison chart. Hive is a SQL based database, while HBase is a NoSQL. In Hive, you have databases. Tables are stored in databases, while in here, tables are stored in namespace. We call it namespaces. Namespaces. Does not support random access of data. Supports random access. It is row oriented. While this is column oriented. Further, there is no grouping of columns, while in here I have column families. So you can group columns while we are creating table. You can define that okay, certain columns are uh, belonging to a certain column families. Okay, which we will discuss while once we create those tables. Okay, so just to draw a comparison, if you have database, let's say there is a database in Hive, it will be similar to a namespace in HBase. Okay, and within this database, I can have multiple tables. I can have table 1, table 2, and so on. Okay, similar to this, you can have tables within a namespace now. When it comes to HBase. Only the container is going to be a namespace over there. Okay, so I think that's all we will discuss today about this. In the next class, I will show you how to install HBase within the cluster and how you will be creating these namespace. You will be creating tables. Again, this is going to be a developer's job. But why you should know about this as an admin? Because let's say if some problem comes in within your cluster about a namespace, about a table, you should know the concept, what happens within HBase, and you should know what is the architecture of HBase, so that you can directly reach out to that service or that role within HBase where you think the problem is likely to occur. Okay, so we will explore the architecture, installing HBase. Although it's just an adding a service, so you can also do it yourself, but I will also show you. Then creating a table and creating a namespace and table, and then we will explore some admin level commands of HBase that will be helpful for troubleshooting. The most important being FSCK. Okay, so this command is mostly used by us whenever it comes to troubleshooting anything related to HBase. So we will explore all these stuff in next class. Okay, any questions, guys?
Sahil,
Yes.
yeah, I have a very different question for you, not about the work, not about the Hadoop. Can you make me, can you share the windows of mine with you so that I can show you something? Because there is one sign, like a default sign in my screen. It's like keep coming, and I'm just not able to stop it. If
Okay.
I can show you that. Yeah.
Okay. I made you present.
Okay. Okay. So did you see the default sign?
Yeah, this was coming.
Yeah. Why it's still coming?
Okay. Just
Right.
click on it when it comes.
Well, what did you say? Say
Just
that again.
click on this default sign when it comes.
Well, whenever I'm turning on my laptop, it's coming.
Okay, let me check.
Yeah.
Can you give me control?
Sure. Keep control. Okay. Mhm. Is this because if I'm using one monitor, but whenever even not I'm using it, it
Hmm.
still keep coming, that default one.
Yeah, maybe some application that you're using is showing that.
Yeah.
Has it stopped now? It's not coming now, right? No.
DC? Yeah.
Okay, this is something new. I think some application is okay. Let's open Task Manager and see it over there.
And it's very new. It wasn't happening before. I don't know why it's happening.
Can you scroll it up? It's not scrolling for me.
Okay.
Did you try rebooting?
What do you mean? Restarting the
Restart.
computer?
Yeah, restart the computer.
Yeah, I did. I did.
Okay, there is some background process, but I'm not sure which one of them is displaying this at the default.
Hmm.
Just
Should I just do?
restart your system, and when you restart it, then come open this task manager and
Yeah.
see which all processes are running. So when you have everything stopped, there is no other thing running in the system. But if you still
Yeah.
see something on the task manager, that will be related to this default. Got my point? So just
I
restart it once. Do not
okay.
open anything after you restart. Just directly
Okay.
open the task manager and see what
Okay.
what all
Perfect.
processes are coming up. So any process which comes up, that will be related to the default one. If it's not any system process, okay, then you try
Okay.
to kill it, and this will go away.
Okay. Thank you.
Right now, I can see
I will.
multiple processes. It's difficult to segregate. Okay, but when you restart
Right.
it, all of this will be killed, and only the one that relates to default will come up in task manager.
Okay. So this the leaf one is the running one.
Something is running at the back end, yes, which is showing it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me try.
Okay. Okay. Any other
Thank
questions?
you.
Shantanu, Isa, you were not able to give the test, but okay, no problem. So I'll be sharing the results. Okay, let me just share it right.
Yes, I did. The ABC was me actually.
Oh, okay. ABC was you. Okay, okay,
Yeah, and
okay,
I was at working that time.
okay. No problem, no problem. So this was just for understanding. The actual test will be a little bit more. We'll have more questions. You can till then keep on preparing. I'm sharing the questions, and probably this file contains everyone's result. Okay. Yeah, these are the questions. You can take a look,
Okay.
and the correct answer is also present and corresponding to each. Okay. Correct answer. Yeah, it's there. DU for this usage in here. Just take a look at all these questions and compare what you had answered and what was the right answer. Okay. LSCPU will not work for this question because if I want to check the percentage, I have to use top, not LSCPU. So I think ESA, the name ESA. Did I spell it?
Isa.
ESA. Okay. ESA.
Isa.
So you can just compare your questions, take a look at them, and note the answers. And if you want to research more about it, definitely do it. Okay. If you are having
Oh,
confusions, don't hesitate to read more about that concept.
okay.
And consider this. Okay. If somebody says project base, so this is a completely a project. So you created a cluster which was 3 node. You
Mm-hmm.
installed various services. You practice over the services. There is nothing more than this, which you can offer in a project. So some guys
Right.
in the market, they do confuse you that what is a project, what is in Hadoop administration basically. So this is a whole sort of project only. Okay, but the thing is, once you are into the market, you should know how you can market this. that is all depending on you. Okay, but you can write this on your CVs also, that you created clusters, and yeah.
I'm just, you know what, like maybe later on we will all learn that I am understanding what you're saying, or I'm able to create a cluster, and the yarn stuff and the hive now with HBase. I'm listening, I'm trying to understand, I'm understanding a little bit, not too much, but I'm
Hmm.
going there. But I'm just wondering, like, when we will start working on, like, as an admin, or
Yeah.
if somebody wants to be a developer later on.
Yeah.
So I that's the, you know, that's the interface I'm still not able to cross, that the interface between learning process, which I'm learning, which is a
Hmm.
project,
Hmm.
like a project from the Linux to creating a cluster and the other stuff
Hmm.
added with that, and
Hmm.
then the real world, and then this real world and the learning process, the interface, you know what I mean? So I'm still on that, I'm still trying to cross that interface,
Okay, so
because
I'll give you the way to do that. Okay,
right,
so you have your cluster already running. Okay, so do these
exactly.
tasks. Do these tasks. Create 20 tables in Hive.
Okay,
Okay.
we can't see anything because it's still
Yeah,
it's a
yeah, I think it's in my months.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely, your question is absolutely right. You have just created a very blank cluster which has nothing into it. So no issues will be come up. Uh, and even if some issues will come up, that will be only related to, let's say, your AWS, where space is utilized, all this stuff. But what are there are the actual Hadoop issues for you to troubleshoot. But the reason for that is
Right.
you don't have enough data in the cluster. Okay. So once you
Hmm.
start uploading data, that's where the actual role of an administrator will come, because when you have multiple tables, multiple data, and you are ingesting data on a daily basis. So what happens in an actual environment is, okay, you have this Hadoop cluster. We are at a point where we have a Hadoop cluster ready, which is of 3 node. Okay, and we
Right.
have,
Sorry, Sahil, I think you have to, like, you have to leave my window computer so that
oh,
the other people can.
right, right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I thought I made myself again the presenter. Okay.
No, right. It's okay. Yeah. Hmm.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we all can see, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So up till now, we are at this position where we have this cluster created, which is of 3 node. We have the
Right.
HDFS, we have Yarn for execution, we have Hive for tables. We will add up
Right.
HBase, okay, and
Yeah.
we'll also add up Spark later, and we will
Right.
also make it more secure using certain concepts.
Hmm.
Let's say, so this is the same similar situation in any organization. Also, you have this cluster. Okay? But yes, there's going to be of more nodes. Let's say over there are 30 nodes. Now, what happens is in any company, so they're doing basic business on a daily basis, right? Let's say you are into a retail brand which is having a Hadoop cluster, and the brand is doing business every day, so some data is getting created every day. Okay, so on daily basis, new data is uploaded to the cluster. So this, how is this data uploaded? There can be different kind of jobs which can be using the scoop component. Okay, scoop is a component in Hadoop which will be used to ingest data directly either into Hive tables or to HDFS. But mostly people create jobs which will directly import this data into Hive tables. So you will have Hive tables created on a daily basis, and within these Hive tables, daily data is segregated. So it can be a case where the Hive table is same. Okay, the Hive table is going to be same, but the daily data is segregated based on the partition. So every day a new partition will be created. Okay, so now what is a Hadoop admin role in this case? You are responsible to monitor the running of these jobs. Okay, you're responsible to create your architecture of yarn, or the yarn queues should be in such a way, should have enough resources. Okay, then if a job fails, if there is a failure of the job, you will check the logs and troubleshoot. Check the logs and troubleshoot, and if we find anything related to Hadoop service which is failing the job, you need to fix that. This is like a job you have to do every day. So there can be hundreds of such jobs, which are pulling data for that organization into your Hadoop cluster. And either it can be into Hive tables, it can be into HBase tables, depending upon how you want to use that data, how the developers or the architects have designed it. They will create their own jobs, they will run it on a daily basis. You are the one who should troubleshoot it. Now, what information do you need? What prerequisites do you need? You should know what is a Hive table, what is a HBase table. You should know where the data is getting stored. It's actually stored in the HDFS layer. If something fails, you should know what log level you should look for. Debug you won't find, because debug is going to take a lot of space. You have to make yourself comfortable with using info error and try to find out things using these two. I will explain that also when we do a troubleshooting session. Okay.
Okay.
But this is your core responsibility for each day. Now, apart from this, there can be daily issues. What can be issues? Name node down or any service down. Okay. There can be space issues or management within the cluster. So there can be things like data nodes are not balanced. When I say balanced, every data node should have equal amount of data stored in it. Otherwise, the other data nodes will fill up more quickly, while the ones which are not getting filled up will still remain empty. So you should balance it out. For that, we have a service called balancer, which we can run in the cluster. Okay. Then you have your client issues. Let's say some client is developing, or you can say developer. So because development is also going on daily basis, right? Everywhere, some people are developing the new codes, so they are trying to access your Hue or your Spark jobs. So you will have a separate queue for them. So this is all your architect's role. He will create queues for the daily jobs. He will create queue for the developers. You are the one who has to administer it, that all of these things are working fine. Okay. Then, so these are like daily issues. Then there can be new projects, which can be adding a new node to cluster. And this is not just, adding it directly from the UI. You'll have to take care of everything that relates to port opening, what all ports are required to be opened. So that for that you should know for each service what ports are used. Okay, so HDFS uses port 8020 for name node. For data nodes, it uses a different port. Similarly, for Yarn, for Hive, what all ports are used? Okay, you should know that, because when you are adding a new node, it won't be a case that you will open all the network directly. Instead, you will just open those specific ports. Then there can be, so adding a new node is going to be a little more effort. Then can be adding a new service, and maybe if you get an opportunity, adding a new cluster. What we did. This will be a whole set of effort, because you not just have to understand the port opening and creating everything within the cluster, but also the networking part, dealing with your database teams, for the, so your service, our services like Hive, they uses a backend database, right? We were up till here we were using an embedded one, which was directly bundled with the Hadoop package. But in actual working environment, you will have a different database, and mostly that will be handled by your separate team within your company, which is handling only the RDBMS or the SQL kind of databases. So coordinating between them, getting a database ready for your use, all those stuff, and then ultimately all the cluster specific, uh, cluster creation stuff that we did. So that's going to be a major project though, and but yes, you should know about that as an admin also, because you can be involved with the architect. Once he is dealing with it, you can be given the charge of certain, because issues might come up even in this case. It's not that easy, and how we do it on AWS. In actual environment, there are thousands of restrictions, so you should be able to deal with them along with dealing with the Hadoop issues. But yes, you, to reach at that level, you should at least be at an intermediate understanding of the Hadoop concepts, because over there nobody is going to teach you about Hadoop. They will expect you to know everything about Hadoop, and then everything else that relates to their architect, company's policies, that can be taught to you.
Hmm.
So these three major. Also, Hadoop admins, right now it's not limited to Hadoop, because admin concepts, people are also using some service like Elasticsearch. Admin concepts will apply to any service, any new service also that comes up on the Linux platform. It will apply to this also. So you might be given a responsibility to, let's say, install Elasticsearch. So you can use your configurations knowledge and troubleshooting knowledge to install those services also. So that will depend upon how good as an admin you are. And to become a good admin, have your theory sorted, have a good hands-on onto your Linux environment. So you should be a master of Linux for to be a good admin, I would say. Because even in Hadoop or in any other service that is Linux based, you will be using a lot of Linux commands only. Okay, so this can also be your daily task. Let's say there is some Linux troubleshooting. You might not always go to some Linux admin. You might have to do it yourself also. So the picture is, it's in actual environment, it's going to be a little, I would say somewhat more than what we are doing right now. But yes, at that location, nobody is going to teach you the Hadoop concepts. They will all expect you to know that. So start, that's why my focus is I have tried to distribute not only on theory but practical aspects. But practical aspects, it's only 20%. Actually, it's 80% is how you how good of an understanding you have of your Hadoop concepts, your ports, your service architecture, how the actual flow within a service works, how does it within a yarn everything works. Because when an issue will pop up, your architectural knowledge will help you in troubleshooting it. Otherwise, it's a big ocean. Where will you go out of these 30 nodes? Let's say if a service is failing, a yarn job is failing, okay, and you don't know where to look out for, it's going to be a lot of difficulty in troubleshooting. But if you know, okay, I'll have to go to the job logs, I'll have to search for the logs type error or warning, which will give me a hint. Then I will go to that particular node and do and check the logs within it. So it will become much easier then. Okay, so yeah. So coming back to the question, these can be your primary responsibilities. This can be your added responsibilities, and apart from these, also there can be different kind of responsibilities. But yes, Hadoop admins, when they hire you, they will at least help you. At least they will expect you to have your Hadoop sorted and your good troubleshooting skills on the Linux level as well as on the Hadoop level.
Mm.
Okay, so that's it for today. And
Okay.
do take a look at the questions again, guys. Okay, if any questions you have still any doubts, we can discuss that. And in next class, I will take you in the architecture of HBase and how the things actually work on the cluster level when it comes to HBase. Any more questions?
No, not yet.
Okay, no problem. Just go with the topic. Maybe try to install it yourself in your clusters. Okay, and try to practice. Look out for resources online if you can. Otherwise, we will discuss it. No problem. Next class.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for joining. Good night. Bye.
Good night. Bye.